don't know, this is simple then. Big up DJ Soca-holic, you don't know. The baddest and the maddest Soca DJ from all about. Boom!
Years in Washington, last day she came to jam for the carnival. Who sent she? I don't know, but she very lucky to bounce up along sweet man like me. Ha. She says so nice, everything alright. Believe me, I'm feeling fine. I want to wine. I say, honey, you better listen to me. Once you cook keep up the pace, you're in the right place. When the DJ play Peter Humphrey, she raise her hand and she tell me, Specky, no place sweeter than home. I say she gone crazy when they bring in flying turkey. No place sweeter than home. Just give me permission, I want me permission, because no place sweeter than home. Paisani and them watching, girl, you never know what they're thinking. No place sweeter than home. But she whining home, leave me alone, my only home. Are you fan me? Fan me? Inspector, what people make me wet me pants back and along the land. Boy, I had to dance. Then I went to cruise on the rum runner. I went for dinner at the Nutmeg restaurants and bar. I said to you, Whitey, just take it easy. When you jump up in Queen's Park, you want to come back. Jenny and the Espinal, the jamming that be real hard. Check me out on the road show, we drinking curry for so. When the DJ play on my squeezy, she rests right live on me, singing no place sweeter than home. They mix it up with Skylar. She bend down low and she back back. She say no place sweeter than home. Just give me some laugh, then bring in bubble up. No place sweeter than home. Said he can't them watching, girl you never know what it is. No place sweeter than home. But she shouted home in a sexy tone, my only home.
A pleasant good afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen, and how are we doing this afternoon? I hope everybody is having a wonderful evening. It is the 30th day of August 2023. And I'm having that kind of evening, ladies and gentlemen. Nowadays, I want to bring some people way back in the old school kind of vibes, man. I hope everybody would have had themselves a wonderful day. Go ahead right now and share the live. Let them know that class is presently in session and we're ready to begin. It is 3 minutes past the hour of 6.
Because you love me and care, that's all I want to hear. When the DJ
I want everybody on the live right now to go ahead and share the live. Just share the live, hit share right now. Everybody that's on the live. Go ahead right now and share the live. Let them know that I'm on. Let them know that I'm here. Royalty James is here. And class is in session. Share the live right now. It is going to be a fun evening, I can tell you that, ladies and gentlemen. A very informative evening. We're not easing up. No place sweeter at home. While you're traveling too much.
Marina, press button and you bring water.
No place sit at home.
Bad behavior, sugar mill. Music stop, but you whining still.
As Glenda Robinson is saying, use every means of social media right now. WhatsApp, Messenger, wherever. Good evening to you, Mosquito Man. We had a wonderful morning, man.
All she want is sweet soca. I said that she had bad
So if one person shade to 8 persons, then everybody should shade to 8 persons too.
Them fellas hungry like shark.
Having that kind of evening, by kind of fiery. Get them, get them, get them, get them, get them. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this was the voice of Roger Hitman Hurricane Elimus Gilbert. Our very own, ladies and gentlemen, one of the veterans within the soca industry and one of the persons who have been there and been giving us good music for a lengthy period of time. And so I believe as he enjoys his twilight, we will and must recognize his contribution to the industry. So a pleasant good afternoon to you, Elimus Gilbert, and I hope everything is okay with you. I hope you all enjoyed this morning's session. This morning's sessions was impromptu, and I am seeing many persons are mentioning that they did enjoy the link up between myself and Mosquito Man. Yeah, I was on the boss program for those of you all who missed it this morning. Good evening to the people also on my YouTube page. I want you share too, you know. Go ahead, press the like. Come on, send it to somebody who you know that may want to listen to the program, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, there was a nice link up this morning between myself and Mosquito Man. We had a little fun, we shared a little humor. You know, I shared my opinions and so on and so forth. All right. Now I want to start basically not so political, but I want to start by mentioning one of the things that I posted this morning as it relates to co-parenting. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important. Right? It is important to co-parent, especially in this time as we get our kids ready for back to school, right? It is important to co-parent. Now, I know there are some parents that really can't see eye to eye, you know, and some that just don't have the fortitude for neither one of each other. But however, I want to say for the betterment and the benefit of the kids or children or child, whomever that is involved, it is okay to, if you can't see eye to eye, you get a mutual friend, a family, so that that child would be able to get what he or she has to get to be able to re-enter school. That starts next week, all right? So I want to say to every parent out there is nothing wrong about co-parenting. It is easy. You need not to have no lengthy conversation. You understand me? You call him up or you call her up and you say, hey, this is this child's school books that is remaining and that is what has to be, you know, that is what we have to get, and you know, you should take 5 of this and I take this. And I think co-parenting is easy, and I can boast of that in my parenting. You know, my son mother and my daughter mother and I, we do have that level of understanding. You know, sometimes they just like, you know, I can't do it. At times I say, listen to me, I can't do it. And they sometimes understand. And we have a nice rapport, all right? So we want to build that level, all right? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to spoil your evening a little bit. I must say that. Because I want to start on a level, on a basis. And last program, I remember speaking on one of the persons who normally takes it to social media and basically try their very best to defend and sometimes debunk conversations that we do have. But you can tell when people don't have genuine, you know, love for people and their intent is simply on a political basis, right? The mere fact that you would want to see the demise of a Grenadian or a Grenadian brother or sister on the basis of simple politics, it is treacherous, right? And when I heard the clip that the person sent me, and they said to me, Prince, listen to this. I mean, take a listen to this and tell me if you think that is somebody that is sane or somebody that is genuinely understanding the purpose of Grenadians and government and when governments are in charge. I'm about to spoil some of you guys' evening because just like me, I know some of you all don't like it. I don't listen to it. But when the person sent it to me, I said, let me just take the opportunity to share it. All right. But it's very lengthy, so I'm kind of cutting it to where I want you guys to really listen and understand, like to ask yourself, what is it that this individual is really trying to promote? All right.
Be contracted. And they put on the names of some of those NNP folk to work under them. And they say, nah, they ain't working under the NDC person as a contractor because they would have to rake the bush, cut the bush now. Before time, they were not doing that because they were the contractors, right? They don't want work. A lot of those NNP supporters don't want work. They wait for the $300 at the end of the month, the 25th, the 23rd, the 24th, or whatever day it is, and they go and drink rum with it. A lot of them drink rum, smoke weed. In some instances, they go and buy hair, false hair, and so on, and go party with it. Generally speaking. And then they leave the children without anything. That's how they function. Those NNP supporters in particular. And they're the real beneficiaries of those social safety net programs. And that is why they bawling, they screaming. And you know what's amazing? You would hear on a program that somebody calls somebody and say, well, somebody died, the child died, and they ain't nothing to feed their children, and they want to commit suicide. If everybody who crying and say, well, they need this and they need that, they ain't have that, and they will commit suicide, and then you want to run and go, well, then you're going to be in problem, Ultimately, it's like the password to get things these days is to commit suicide. Yeah. So they would call programs, give numbers so they can get this and get that. In fact, only recently, a friend from overseas followed through with a call on a particular program where somebody said, well, they want to kill themselves or they want to commit suicide because they can't feed their children, they can't this, they can't that. So the person intervened, they assisted the person, and then they had somebody follow the person. In other words, monitor the person. And the person, the individual, would leave her children in the house, go to party, buy all kind of nice clothes, get tickets, pay the money for the tickets to go to the shows and have a ball of a time. And then go back home, the children hungry and so on. What they need to do is to take the children away from that person. It is simple. Not that they want to commit suicide. They want to live off people. And that's exactly what is happening. But the easy password is to call a program and, say, well, they in need of this and in need of that. And they just, but that's what Grenada has become. Because these people, they no longer get handout. No longer could line in some party office and beg for this and beg for that. Scrunty. But that is what the NNP made these people to believe, that the government has to come and feed them, clothe them, house them, everything. Toothpacker, everything. That is exactly how they have been trained.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm gonna end the audio here, and I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me. Maybe you can tell me, or maybe you have a better understanding as to what was just said. Because I can't comprehend. I can't. It is difficult for me. So maybe you guys who might be a little bit, more intelligent than I am, could explain to me what really was being said here in a nutshell. What is it that the individual wanted to say? Now, ladies and gentlemen, people sometimes meet demises in their life, right? They meet demise, they they're depressed and they're at a point where they're in need of. And if someone, reach out to them and they might have gotten back to maybe that position in life where, I'm a little bit better. I don't feel depressed anymore. I'm a little bit better as to where I was to where I'm at now. And the conversation of suicide, when persons are out here asking, a gentleman, I don't know the gentleman on social media or in any political forum, on Sunday he went live on his Facebook page and he bellowed that, we need to pay attention to our young people, right? And an individual who was just a passerby would have just seen the individual, attempting to want to commit suicide. And so I don't think anybody in their sane mind would simply pronounce that, hey, I want to commit suicide on the basis that they want help from an entity or from a government. I don't think anybody in their sane mind, and I don't believe that the few cases that we had in recent months of suicide were persons that was in vulnerable positions, and not to want to regurgitate in anybody's mind as to calling names, but we had one of the individuals whose family was well off, and so she was one of the persons who took her life. Another individual in the True Blue area, who a young lady who took her life, and they weren't in vulnerable positions. They weren't wanting to be on the seed program and they didn't have to amount of children in their house and wanting to put on the nice weave on and dress nice and go to parties and buy a ticket. This wasn't the circumstances as it relates to the persons who in recent days and weeks gone back who were victims of suicide. I mean, sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, when you say to somebody you don't listen to something or someone, it is simply on the basis that you want to keep your mental health so intact that sometimes you just simply avoid listening to other people, or you listen to other conversations that they do have. I mean, is that the justification of a young Grenadian, a young political activist, somebody who is here speaking on the behalf of a government, basically showing his support behind a ruling administration, and you're going to speak this utter nonsense on the basis that because you support a side? I am not going to judge your ability to be intellectually inclined, but what was spoken a while ago is nothing far from jackassery. Sorry for the persons on my live in first time hearing me use those words. But this is utter nonsense. This is utter nonsense. And if you have some form of way you could have reported that to me, that is cyberbullying. To me, I consider that to be cyberbullying, because you're telling people basically, go ahead and commit suicide, who cares? All your name not going on the list for government to assist you. And I don't think mentally disturbed, mentally deranged is the word that we have to use when describing this young man. And I don't care who is it that go and tell him, but this is utter nonsense. A government that is elected for the people. If a government is elected, it is elected for every individual of the state after they're elected. And so the sifting as it relates to who is in need of is a scrutiny that must be done not on the basis as to who you supported on your election day. Because if that the road that we're going to go down, I guess when you go to see a doctor now, they go ask you maybe who you vote for before seeking medical attention. Or maybe before you have your child signing to a school, they ask you who you vote for. This is utter nonsense. On the basis of what? trying to make political mileage for showing us support. So I am an NNP and an individual, and I'm on the program saying Kid Micheldo must give people who voted for NNP and NNP people seeing NDC people seeing trouble, and they should remain hungry. I mean, I believe that there is some form of intellect within the NDC, and hence the reason why he's one of the persons they wouldn't take any chance in giving any particular role and function within the government. And don't worry them about he don't want to work and he don't want to work. Don't worry that. They utter nonsense. That is utter nonsense. And in the first place, when he left the New National Party, is because of the same reason. He wanted, and he still wants. Everybody wants. You can't tell me an individual on that. I mean, come on. Come on. That's distasteful. Despite who you supported on election day, when government has been formed, government is formed to serve every individual. The young, the old, the blind, the deaf. You understand me? All right, ladies and gentlemen. And I just said, I didn't want to spoil some of all your day. But some persons' day was spoiled. All right? I don't know, Michelle just decided he was going to roll down. I guess I get a little bit heavy over the past few days. Right? And persons are saying that, the administration at present, the present administration is basically embracing him. And even if they are, right? Even if they are, when statements like that is being made, somebody should call upon him and say, you don't make statements like that. Government is serving every individual. Because you have the past, you have the last speech given by the Prime Minister basically asking for the opposition to come on board. And you're hearing persons asking about coming together and building together. Then you're having statements like that being made and heard by other persons. How am I supposed to work with you when one of your goons are making such proclamation? All right? So, ladies and gentlemen who have been following my program for a lengthy period of time, I was elated to maybe, I don't know, as I say nowadays, I believe some of the MPs on the NNP side, they listen sometime to the classroom, and they in the back of the class, and maybe they don't say nothing. You understand me? But I heard the deliberations, or part of a deliberation given by Brother Peter David. And it is like verbatim as to what I have been preaching for the past few months. And I just want to play it so that you would hear it.
Prepared. I heard all kinds of things about what you all did. If you spent, when I was in government before. And we spent nearly the first 3 years while I was there blaming the previous government. Until the previous government come back, because that's all we spend the time doing. If you want to spend all your years blaming the NLP for every problem in Grenada, go right ahead. But the fact is, you now have to govern. You now have to fulfill the promises. But you also have to subject yourself to scrutiny that we have an obligation to do in a parliamentary system as brought down to us by the British and carried on over the years. I agree with my friend from St. David. There are things we need to change. But in order to change the things that we need to change, we have to learn to work together and accept criticism where criticism is due.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm certain that prior to me playing this clip, this is something I've been uttering time and time again on my program. That this administration at present continues to focus so much on what the past administration have done, and to every one of their failures continue to speak on, but you all did this, and why didn't you all do that? And why didn't NNP did this? And how come NNP didn't do that? Now, this is what continues to keep the foot in the sinking sand. And while continuing to make noise and throw your hands up and not rescue yourself, you continue to sink deeper and deeper. I've never been in sinking sand, but I've always heard that once you're in sinking sand, one of the things that they ask you to do is simply relax yourself and attempt to continue to pull yourself away from the sand. This is one of the ideas. I've never been in sinking sand, but one of the things, sometimes you're watching movies and they tell you, in one of the ways to get out of sinking sand is that you relax your body and not try to. Even in drowning, they ask you not to walk up yourself too much. That you relax yourself, that you conserve energy. But this administration are in a sinking sand, and instead of trying to conserve energy and attempt to pull themselves out, they are cursing the person and saying to me, why you didn't tell me you didn't have sinking sand day? Why you didn't tell me don't make another step? This is the reference, ladies and gentlemen. Because at the end of the day, every single thing to be defended, when your agenda is transformation, you continue to reflect or compare yourself to the past administration, a failed administration. A failed administration. And you know one of the examples I want to bring to you? The conversation now of the LBGT conversation. The Minister of Education stood in the House of Parliament, showed a documentation, ladies and gentlemen, and said to the Grenadian people, this documentation was signed by the previous administration. This documentation is there and is being brought to the teachers because of the past administration. Ladies and gentlemen, again, the blame game. Remember what happened to the first piece of law that they attempted to pass when it was criticized? Oh, NMP that signed it. I cannot understand why you continue to make agreements from a failed administration who signed documentations and you agreeing to it based on your own fancy. You continue to keep documentations, and when spoken about, you continue to tell the Grenadian people that, hey, no worries, the past administration signed this. But that was the same failed administration, ladies and gentlemen. So why are you continuing to keep documentations, keep signatures and documentations that was signed by them? As somebody is writing the data protection bill, when everybody started to flare up about the data protection bill, you come and your defense was, what are you making noise about? NNP that signed it. But you spoke of transformation. If NNP has a documentation, you made no changes to the documentation of a failed administration, and you keep it. And you're bringing it forward in the House of Parliament. Now a documentation as it relates to basically NNP was agreeing to LBGT community and involving it in the schools. You don't change it. You agree to it. And you're bringing it forward to the Grenadian people. But then you come back in the same breath and say to the Grenadian people, NNP did nothing. NNP did nothing constructive. A waste of time administration. But why are you agreeing to everything? If it means all you are not going in the House of Parliament. Which brings me to my next piece of clip. I want to ensure that you're hearing. Sorry.
Come on, say it. I mean, I expect it. It's not about what about us. Every generation, as I said to the member for St. David, every generation does what it does. Look, the member for St. Andrew South Northeast spoke about this building. After I say, yes, you all did a good job. We build the Parliament building. You start talking about some light flickering upstairs. No. Give credit where credit is due. A new Parliament building was built by the NNP administration. Come to table on that. Again, listen to me as if
So you understand, ladies and gentlemen? I tell you, it is a regurgitation of what I've been saying. So you're in the House of Parliament, sitting in the House of Parliament, and you're addressing the nation about the House of Parliament, and you focused on a light that might be malfunctioning, and it's flickering. He didn't cut off it. Because based on what Brother David is saying, the dear minister speaking about a light. So NNP was supposed to put light that is there that should last 40 years. A light shouldn't be spoiled at the House of Parliament now. Because NNP put it there. And so because NNP put it there, it should be made perfect. But you criticized. You've been criticizing. You continue to criticize. And I'm going up to this point here now.
You should not making recommendations.
Let me get a little clarity on something now before we move on. Because criticism is what they like. And so we debunk the conversation when they bring stupidness to us. And so it's a little this one is a little bit lengthy. So please do give a listening ear to our dear sister for this one. All right?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm saying I listened to a minister of government, and I advised a person from my constituency, a constituent, based on what I heard. As a matter of fact, now that I'm saying this, I remember sitting in the presence of the Honorable Kate Lewis, MP for St. Andrew Northeast, and a young lady came. I did not even remember this until now that I'm saying it. She came in her presence, someone from her constituency, and she said, I went to Newlo, and the government said that we don't have to pay, and this is what Newlo said to me. And I remember clearly the response, because what was presented in some cases gave that impression. So there are persons who are preparing to go, there are persons who are journeying to Newlo with that perception. And so I'm saying the message must be singular. The message, Mr. Speaker, must be so clear. Up to yesterday or day before was it, I heard a minister speaking on the subject. Don't make me feel as if I'm crazy. 2 days ago, I heard a minister of government speaking publicly, saying it's free, education is free. Mr. Speaker, if that person, and we better explain these things to people, people trip up for many different reasons. Mr. Speaker, if that person is going to do a plumbing course at Newlo, admission fee $265. 1 year tuition fee for skills $750. CVQ fees $450. Tools $650. Mr. Speaker, when you add this up, the government would be paying $810. The trainee would be paying $1,305. That's the point, Mr. Speaker. Now, note two things I want to say. Number one, that $810 as a part contribution to that child, Mr. Speaker, in the previous administration, and don't make this sound as if Jesus Christ just arrived. Mr. Speaker, no. Because you check back the records, and you're going to see how many students had 100% scholarship to go to Newlo. 100% covered for children who could not afford it. Mr. Speaker, all of this cost that I mentioned, the total cost was paid by the government of Grenada. Because this child who wants to do plumbing, Mr. Speaker, even if the government was to provide the tuition fee, he still cannot go, Mr. Speaker, because he cannot come up with $1,300. That's the point. That is the point. And that does not include meals. It does not include transportation. It does not include any cost that has to do with living for persons who stay on campus. Mr. Speaker, I am saying that this is probably a perfect example of misleading in some cases.
So, ladies and gentlemen, there we had it. Again, they like the headline. Free education. And you see, I always said, and I remember saying this morning on the boss program, and this is a headline government. So you would get the headline. You would get free education. Free education. And that is it. That is the headline. And then when it becomes public, you start scrutinizing it and going through it and understanding it more as to what really would transpire or would be transpiring. And you would realize to yourself, there and then, you are in a monkey's pants. And they don't take the time off and realize that the dear sister is presenting. And so you can stand on a point of order and a point of clarification. Well, in the House of Parliament, you don't have that anymore. That has since gone down the drain. You have sit down on the other side and say shut up or sit down or be disrespectful to the speaker at the time that is presenting. And so it is being accepted now. But what I know of is standing on a point of order, standing on a point of clarification. That is what I was taught when I was doing youth parliament. Right? So all of a sudden, you can do as you damn well please in the House of Parliament in Grenada. Right? But we're getting to that. All right? When the live went out last week, and I think I need to send my my wonderful students to get that clip, that piece of clip for me, please. Where the dear minister mentioned, don't worry, TAMCC and NULU is basically going to be offering free education. People, when you do a calculation as it relates to the entire expenditure, and we're not including lunch and bus fee and so on, we're speaking mere fees only. The government is assisting in the percentage of the amount. And this is easy to say, ladies and gentlemen. This is easy for government to come and say, listen to me, government, there is no issue in government coming and say to the people, listen to what our intentions are. Our intentions are simple, to aid in the persons that will be attending TAMCC or NULU by a percentage given. This is simple. You ought not to come and present yourself as if all of a sudden government spontaneously come up with that idea. The dear person who spoke served as the Minister of Education. So our information should be most accurate in mentioning that government gave 100% benefit to persons going to new law. So this is no new initiative raised by government. And so this is basically, you hear how she ended it, or what her point was? Clarification. Not criticizing, the idea, clarification. And in her entire speech, she didn't debunk the idea and say, that idea is not a good idea, or you don't have to spend all that money on people's children. No. This is an experienced politician. And she's not debunking the idea. She's happy that persons could benefit. You hear she said, somebody from her constituency came and asked her about it. And she gave them an idea in saying, go ahead. This is what was said. She didn't say don't go because NDC are doing it. No. She gave information based on what she heard. And she's giving information on the basis now that she's simply saying to government, hey, listen to us. The issue is persons are unclear as to the message. Is it free? Is it a percentage? Do you all pay a certain amount or do you all pay everything? This is the clarification. This is the question being posed, or which was posed in the Honorable House. And so a speaker who would be most relevant to the House would have stood and said, well, the dear minister is asking for some form of clarification, whether or not is it here or there, and pose the question to whomever. But he's so fully, he's so biased, and so disrespectful and doesn't have any idea as to what is going on. With the clip that is going around with Dr. Mitchell, sorry. It is laughable. It is a joke. Because you are not taking control. I mean, for the most of us who listen to the parliament, and sometimes based on how we're listening it, because I just listen to my TV, and then sometimes I have it high, and you're listening to persons presenting, and you're literally hearing the other side, murmuring and uttering certain things. Sometimes you realize that the presenter is sometimes answering them, because there are members on the other side that are uttering things, making gesticulations that is inappropriate for the House of Parliament. So I'm wondering whether or not that if the other side is seeing it, whether or not the Speaker of the House is seeing it or hearing it. Whether or not you want to be biased or so on, or be for the other side, fine. But you ought to control a manner of respect in the House of Parliament. I could remember one of the ministers during a presentation, I heard it vividly. I don't know if his mic on the other side was on, saying, shut up. Why that person don't sit down? One time, tie on shoulder, I basically heard him said, what do him? Or what they saying there? All you should know who is tie on shoulder. Any picture I take it out, he tie on his shoulder. But as somebody saying he could not have heard big dogs. He didn't hear big dogs. But when the other side is presenting, he's tentative. Very acute. You can't continue to run the House of Parliament as if you believe it's a friend thing. It's not a friend thing. And let me give you a clip in one of the things what I basically had to laugh when I heard it myself. The person made a meme of it. All right? Let's take a little listen to it.
And how I do it. Right? You allow the speaker.
Sorry, I just want you to hear. I want you to hear the entire thing.
To do.
So I want to start.
Few minutes earlier.
You don't come in the house, in the chamber, and try to challenge what I do and how I do it. Right? You allow the speaker to do the work the best way he sees it.
A few moments later.
I believe of the opposition.
Mr. Speaker, this is a point of order. If the member has already spoken,
Yes.
I checked it for about 45 minutes plus.
So you're saying on that point of order?
Yes. And therefore we members are here prepared to do their explanation and their response. After some member can in fact get up later, but to interrupt them and to go. So anytime something is said, a member can get up at any given time and interrupt the flow of responses. Mr. Speaker, I have a problem.
Right. And Honorable Leader of the Opposition, you are very correct. Any member can't just get up. The procedure is that you wait on the Speaker to work the best way he's.
Ladies and gentlemen, now the little training that I have in youth parliament, and which is an order. No, the Speaker is not expected to do the work in the best way he thinks possible. The House of Parliament is controlled by rules and orders of the House. And so the Speaker is there to ensure that members of the House keep to that rule. The Speaker do the work in the best way. No. The Speaker of the House is the person that is responsible for keeping the order of the House. Now the Speaker will be able to direct the rules and orders that orders the House and the procedure in which it must be followed. Now, when somebody presents, even during presentation, once an individual stands, right? So let's take it, a minister is presenting and somebody on the other side stands. What happens is that the speaker that is speaking will immediately take his or her seat. The Speaker of the House will acknowledge the person who stands. On their stance, he will request from them or ask of them whether or not or what is the purpose they are standing. So let's take it, the Minister of Education is speaking. Miss Emmeline Pierre stands, the Minister of Education sits. The Speaker of the House acknowledges her. Then she says, I am standing on a point of order. I am standing on a point of clarification. I am standing to make clarifications to the statement that was made. This is what it is. Now, when Miss Pierre presents her points of clarification, so take it to mean that the Minister of Education presents the TAMCC issue. And so Miss Pierre stands and she says, Dear, through you, Mr. Speaker, I'm trying to seek clarifications from the Minister of Education as it relates to whether or not the fees at NULO will be paid fully by government or whether or not government will be making a partial payment. And this is at a point of clarification. Now, when Ms. Pierce sits, the Speaker of the House then say to the Minister of Education, I am asking, or the request made by the Speaker on the other side, Ms. Pierre, do you wish to make any form of clarifications, or I'm ordering that you make clarifications? Because the Speaker, the other side is seeking clarifications. This is the role. This is your role. It is simple. Somebody in the House is being disorderly. You ask the Speaker that is speaking to maybe have his or her seat, and you ask the Speaker to stand, or the individual to stand. Honorable member of the opposition, I realize that while the Prime Minister was speaking, your gesticulation or your verbal movements is basically causing disorderly to the Speaker that is presenting. And so I am asking you to please refrain from doing so. And so then you make the opposition leader have a seat. That's how you take charge. You are not there to do it in the best of your ability. No. There are laws governing the House. And you are there to oversee that those laws are followed. This is the Speaker's role. The best way possible? No. There's a travel then. No, sir. There have been orders placed prior before you. There are rules that govern the House prior to you. There are persons who have sat in that chair prior to you. And Sister Kala, we could not have, he can come in, he can even speak to us in youth parliament, because for years I was a youth parliamentarian and he there in the House in the youth parliament and we mashing him up. Because we that speaker in the House of Parliament are making mud with him. Because he's not taking charge of the House. You can't do that. And your biasness is being seen. You're being literally biased. Persons are making gesticulation and saying things and being disrespectful in the House. And so I have a clip where Miss Pierre is basically saying persons elected them to be there. Miss Pierre and others doesn't get up a morning and say, let me go in the House of Parliament. No. You're being biased. You need to do better in the House of Parliament. You ought to take charge when you're in the House of Parliament. This is the first and foremost thing for the Speaker of the House. Taking charge of the House. Giving the presenters and the parliamentarian that sense of ease. Check out our last Speaker of the House. Check out our last Speaker of the House. His gesticulation and demeanor and behavioral pattern. Sometimes he himself uttered a little humor. What is it? What you afraid? Kid Mitchell wouldn't get up and go and sit down in the Prime Minister's seat. It doesn't make a difference. He's not Prime Minister. This is not how you take control of the House of Parliament. And indeed, many persons would continue to have issues with the manner in which you control the House. There's procedures. There are ways in which you take charge of the House. And those ways must be showing as if you're the person in charge. You agree. You basically agreed. And when after Dr. Mitchell spoke, you hear him agreeing with what Dr. Mitchell said. But still, just to show, well, your level of biasness, I should say, you still try to debunk. No. Right? So, ladies and gentlemen, this was an issue that we had to be dealing with for the past week or so. And so, there's a whole clip going around with Dr. Mitchell and the manner in which he spoke to the speaker. You understand me? Right? So, ladies and gentlemen, this is another one. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're moving on because I want to address another issue, and this one is basically one that I want to you see, at the end of the day, if you don't call these people and them out on their behavior, they would continue. And sorry for not focusing on you guys. Sometimes I normally have to just look on the other side for a little while, Now, you remember in recent days that government made the agreement and the pay and grade review with police officers. And the agreement shows that the increase shall be comparable with effect from July 1st, 2023. Well, I'm here to report, ladies and gentlemen, from a credible source, that police officers with the past 3 payments or 4 payments received, because we have July 15th, we have July month 10, August 15th, well, 4 payments that have been received by police officers since after this documentation was made present has not yet received 1 cent. No, I didn't ask the person to send me the payslip, but credible information that they have not yet received that bit of payment. I don't know whether or not the police would have to go on and negotiate again for the payment to start. But based on the documentation that was made public, and the documentation reads at the end, the increases shall be comparable with effect from the 1st of July 2023. Well, I can say to you, or I can report to you, that with information from persons and credible persons within the RGPF, that payment has not yet been made. I don't know if whether or not they're trying to give all you a nice lump sum at the end of the year. All right? But however, if there has been an agreement in the payment being made from the 1st of July, I would ask government to please cause the people's money to be paid. Right? We had another individual calling it quit. So we had Nawasa, Mr. Husbands, no Mr. Brathwaite would have quit as the person in charge of Grenlec. No, I don't know. I don't want you to make. I don't want to make it a political conversation. But it's concerning. It's first time in my time, I'm hearing so many persons on different board just calling it quit, and some people just throwing in the towel. For whatever reason, could be a justifiable one. It doesn't mean that it has to be an internal affair. You might just want to call it quit. Coincidentally, it happened just around the time the person of Nawasa left, and then it could be genuine. But I'm wondering. All right? Where the press secretary? I hear she gone since the end of July. How come no one ain't talking about that? No, listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. There is a lot of, and I don't sugarcoat in it. There's a lot of dotishness happening in this place. Things that are very far from the usual protocol of the state. And as I said, when persons like myself speak on it, we are castigated. And as I say, I could deal with that. I could deal with that, ladies and gentlemen. I am not where I want to be in life, but I'm happy. And then believe you me, I'm happy. Right? You see what I'm doing here? And as I was speaking to my kids last night, and I remember saying this. Listen to me, nearly every teacher in my class, or class that I attended to, always, my report book always had, Prince need to hold up on talking. Prince talks too much. Every report, every time, remark. And I always thought it was a fault. And here I am today, speaking to an audience of 130 persons who want to hear me talk. So what I'm doing here is what I love to do. I like to talk. So you can't stop me from talking. Because since from my school years, my conversations are the conversations from my teachers in the church. Somebody in the church and mommy used to have to ring me ears because I like to talk. And then after getting old and realizing, oh Prince, you like to talk, I then equip myself with the ability to have the ability to talk. And so I did a lot of little reading. And when I speak, sometimes a word, I would go and find the definition of the word and so on. And then I started to equip myself. And here am I today. So if all you believe, or you go stop me from talking, no, ladies and gentlemen, this is my talent. Believe it or not, this is God-given talent. This is what God gave to me. And if you go back to school on my graduation day, I was I was awarded, the most outstanding English language student. That again should tell you something. That I could talk and I could write too. So either written or verbal, I can do both. Because God has gifted me with the talent to do both. So all you just start to hear me. Because my talent, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want God come to me and ask me, Prince, I gave you the talent of speaking and what you did with it. And I say, God, I hide it under the bushel. No, I didn't. Persons are going to hear me. My children are going to hear me. My wife, when we get a little bit on the other side of it, she's going to hear me. I like to talk. So don't feel like you're going to stop me from talking. I like to talk. And the thing about it, I have equipped myself to not to be able to talk nonsense or be obscene or vile for the purpose of politics. And I mentor myself in persons in listening to them speak that it dates back to Brother Morris Bishop, Barack Obama, our political leader, Dr. Mitchell, Mr. Edwin Martin. For those of us who know Dr. Thomas, he normally does a program sometime. He goes around and speaking. I love to hear them talk. And mind you, and don't get vexed, one of my favorite speakers also is Brother Eddie Frederick. Love to hear them talk. But you see, when you could speak and you talk utter nonsense, is when you start turning the stomach inside of me. Because the ability to talk is not the ability to talk stupidness or nonsense. You grab an audience based on your intonation, on your facts spoken, on the way you deliberate on the topic that you're speaking about. Not here talking because I hate NDC. No. I'm here talking because there are issues in which the present administration fails and fails miserably. And when they do, ladies and gentlemen, you will hear me. Times when you hear me speak, as you say, you hear me intonate. Can go very high, I can go very low. Be humorous, be jovial, be daunt, because that's my ability, that's my talent. So you just start to hear me talk. I can be foreign and speak very nice and, utter words that, persons would like to hear overseas and so on and so forth. Or I can be local and all you could hear all I'm saying. Because that's my ability, ladies and gentlemen. All right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all would have enjoyed the bit of information that I gave this evening. Right? I am not scripting. There is nothing in the back of me coming across as to what I have to say. You understand me? This is just my ability. This is just what God has gifted me with. And as I say, you wouldn't find me being vile on my program and obscene and just here to hate people. No. When there are issues and you realize what I try to do most of the time is play a clip. Bring the facts to you. That I'm not speaking based on a mere dislike or hatred. You understand me? I'm certain that me speaking now, somebody's home watching their device and saying to themselves, but that young man singing good. I mean, the young man could talk. You understand me? People is a gift. If I didn't go in no big university, I went to the St. Mark's Secondary School as my last level of education. Then I joined the RGPF. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure and God's blessings to each and every one of you. I will just break for a very short moment while you listen to this.
Soca, you don't know the baddest and the maddest soca DJ from all about. Boom!
Years in Washington, last day she came to jam for the carnival. Who said she? I don't know, but she very lucky to bounce up along with man like me. Ha. She says so nice, everything alright. Believe me, I'm feeling fine. I want to.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to apologize for this. I just had to break because somebody would have just come to just drop something off for me. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, it was a pleasure again, as I said, to be here with you guys this afternoon. I pray that my information reach some audience. As I said, any one of my conversation would not be loved by everybody. And this is not my intention, right? My intention basically is, and I'm not calling myself a political activist. I am simply speaking on issues that would, be conversations that would be discussed by persons around. And mind you, when I'm really not on the program, I try my best not to converse politics. I try my utmost best not to, because there are persons who just, they just don't cut it to have a conversation with, because, they just maybe don't understand the whole concept of politics, right? But however, ladies and gentlemen, I am intrigued and always, fascinated to, be a part of your day or your evening. And I want to say God's blessings to each and every one of you guys. I am very, intrigued, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased that the many of you all sometimes give me a listening ear, right? I'm really happy about that. The persons who sometimes just call and say, continue doing the job that you do. I want to say thank you guys so very much. And blessings to each and every one of you guys. I want to say tomorrow, however, I want to take the time off to do the final little rounding up for the distribution of the items that has been collected thus far. There are one or two persons that are still trying to make points with me in terms of getting items to me, and tomorrow I want to take the time off to do that. So if the class would permit, to please give me a little day off tomorrow. Tomorrow, please, the Lord, just allow me to please just do that tomorrow, because I kind of want to package it in a particular way. I don't just want to have to take out a notebook and give a child. I want to have them in a little, put them off in something really nice, right? Presentation is key. So I want to take the time off to do that tomorrow. Persons can still contact me. As I said, you need not, ladies and gentlemen, to give something worth $50 and $60 and $100, right? I really don't need the cash. I don't want the cash, right? So, the items in itself is what I really do need. Persons who have given thus far, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, right? I have purchased some things like files already by one or two persons who would have said, okay, I really can't buy it. Today I got some items from Escoma. I bought some pens and some items that includes how you call it, sharpeners and rulers and so on. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say to you guys, it is really something that intrigues me to always be here to speak with you guys. And tomorrow evening, I haven't heard anything from Sister Jenny on her page, but I'm assuming that she'll be on tomorrow. So I guess your tomorrow evening would not be one that is daunted. You understand? Somebody saying, while someone love plenty cash. Whoa. All right. So yeah, I really don't need cash, because the persons who I have, doing it, even including myself, I want the accountability to show that you gave that for that. A packet, a pen, a rubber, whatever it is, that is what we need. We don't need the cash. We really don't, because tongue is already a hassle, and you don't want to have to go in a store and pick up all these items. You understand me? So as I say, if you continue to give generously. If you really can't give, because as I said, I know so many people that are giving other places, and so we want to thank you so very much. All right. So have yourself a wonderful, 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 wonderful evening. We would see you again next Tuesday. And as I said, nowadays, the way things going so fast, I come in on a Monday. And if I'm missing tomorrow, I want to make a heartfelt promise that I believe I would broadcast next Monday to make up for tomorrow. And that is what I want to start doing. If I miss a day in the week, I will try to use the next week, especially the Monday, to do not rebroadcast, sorry, but to broadcast. So if I miss any day in the week, like between Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I try to do Mondays now to ensure that the information or you not seeing me wouldn't be that lengthy. All right? Rubber is considered something else. Pencil erasers are welcome. Thank you so very much, Wendian. And thank you in every way possible. So I love you guys. So thank you for your evening, ladies and gentlemen, and continue to be blessed. And I want to pray God's blessing over you and your entire family. All right. So have yourself a wonderful evening. Thank you for the laugh for the evening, Wendy, and you have yourself a blessed evening. All right. I'm out.
Know this is simple than big enough DJ Soca Holic. You don't know the baddest and the maddest Soca DJ from all about. Boom!
Yeah. 13 years in Washington. Last day she came to jam for the carnival. Who said she? I don't know, but she very lucky to bounce up along with man like me. Ha. She says so nice, everything alright. Believe me, I'm feeling fine. I want to wine. I say, honey, you better listen to me. Once you could keep up the pace, you're in the right place. When the DJ play Peter Humphrey, she raise her hand and she tell me, Specky, no place sweeter than home. I say she gone crazy when they bring in flying turkey. No place sweeter than home. Just give me permission, I want me permission, because no place sweeter than home. Paisani and them watching, girl, you never know what they're thinking. No place sweeter than home. But she whining home, leave me alone, my only home. Are you fan me? Fan me? Inspector, what people make me wet me pants back on a lonely land. Boy, I had to dance. Then I went to cruise on the rum runner. I went for dinner. I did not make restaurants and bar. I said to you, Whitey, just take it easy. When you jump up in Queen's Park, you bound to come back. Jenny and the Espinal, the jamming that be real hard. Check me out on the road show. We drinking curry for so. When the DJ play on my squeezy, she rests right there on me, singing no place sweeter than home. They mix it up with Skylar. She bend down low and she back back. She say no place sweeter than home. Just bring it tumbler, then bring it bubble up. No place sweeter than home. Send it on them watching, girl you never know what they're thinking. No place sweeter than home. But she shouted home in a sexy tone, my only home. Wine mama, oh you see what? Jam to the music. I feel it. The place so beautiful and nice, it's the paradise. I can't believe me own eyes. Anywhere I roam, I will never forget my home. It's people like you, just make me happy for you. I say good looking, let me tell you something. No problem paying your fare to come every year. Jennifer smile for me, honey for your eyes only. Because you love me and care, that's all I want to hear. When the DJ play the rum match king, Cloud had you screaming and jumping, singing no place sweeter than home. Music play from Tommy C, Eggy Japs and Super Terry. No place sweeter than home. Just give me a jamo, Moss and Tia also. Whoa, whoa. No place sweeter than home. Randy and them watching, girl you never know what they're thinking. No place sweeter than home. But she whining home, leave me alone, my only home. I wonder if she want to visit Batway Beach.
Yo, it's Shiny. Big up Blaze. Big up DJ Soca. Take it
when she take on Manchester Road, she want to take off her clothes. It's the ups and dimension of she whining on people, man. Bacchanal at the arena, press what's one man to bring water. Bad behavior at Sugar Mill, music stop but she whining still. I take she to Island View, she flinging waist like she never christened. She went to see what this go, she says Becky, give me more. All she want is sweet